Hello, Team 6. This is class number 53. So, let's start explaining what you're supposed to do. In the warm-up activity, we are going to practice speaking, okay, but you're going to type the answers here in the file. So you're going to open your student's book on page 136, and you're going to find these pictures, and you're going to look at them, and you're going to answer as student A and B. In student A, you're going to compare the photographs 1 and 2 and say why you think the children are being told off. You're going to type your answer here. Remember to use the speaking guide in which you're going to find the expressions to use. Both pictures show on the one hand, on the other hand. In the student B part, you're going to answer the question, how do you think the adults are feeling? Once you have finished this, activity 1, listening comprehension, so you're going to find the tracks uploaded here in the classroom. It's on page 136 in the student's book. Then you will continue with a reading comprehension exercise on pages 142 and 343. It's multiple marking. Now, let's start with our grammar topic, conditional sentences. When we have conditional sentences, we express conditions, okay? And that condition can be about a present situation or a past situation. And that condition has a result. It can be a possible result or not. Yes, maybe if you are talking about a condition in the past, you are speculating about that result. Okay, remember that the past cannot be changed. So in that case, you are speculating about that condition and that possible result. When we talk about conditional sentences, we talk about types, okay? So we have type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, and the mixed conditional. So let's start with type 0. In type 0, we talk about situations that always happen, yes? No matter who does the action. So we call it as a general truth. And the tense that you are going to use here is simple present for both clauses. If plus simple present and then simple present. Yes, example. If you eat a lot, you get fat or you get a stomachache. If you return this bottle, you get 1 pound back. No matter who does the action, this happens, okay? If you boil water, if you heat water, it boils, okay, at a certain moment. So if simple present and then simple present. Remember that the position, yes, can be changed. You can start with the simple present clause, if and simple present. So the clauses are interchangeable. Now let's continue with type 1. So in type 1, we are going to talk about probabilities. So this type is used to talk about possible situations and their likely results in the future. So we have a situation in the present, yes, and the possible result in the future. The tenses that you're going to use in this conditional sentence are simple present and will or won't. But these tenses are not interchangeable. The simple present is going to be used after if past simple present, and then in the other clause, in the result clause, will or won't. Okay? Example, if you study, you will pass the exam. The condition is if you study, and the likely result, you will pass the exam. In type 2, we are talking about hypotheses or unreal situations, and it is also used to give advice. So this type is used to talk about imaginary and real events in the present or in the future. Okay? For example, here it says, if I were you, I would study harder. This is to give advice. So this situation is not real because I am not you. Okay? But I am making a hypothesis. I imagine this situation, which is not real, and the possible result. Okay, so remember the structures, the tenses you have to use in this structure. If is going to be followed by simple past, and then in the other clause would or wouldn't, and then I'm going to include it just in case as their infinitive. Okay, infinitive without to. Um, let's imagine I do not have your cell phone number, but if I had your cell phone number, I would contact you. So I imagine a situation in the present, yes, and the possible result. But everything is related to this imaginary, not real situation. Okay? Now, type 3. This type 3, conditional, is about past events. And as I said before, past events cannot be changed, but I speculate. So this conditional is going to be used to talk about imaginary situations in the past and to speculate about their effects on that past event. Okay? So let's read first the example and then the structure. If I had gone to the university, I would have become a lawyer. Hmm? When I read this sentence, I realize that the person who said this didn't go to university, and that's the reason why he didn't become a lawyer. But we imagine this situation in the past, the opposite situation, if that person had gone to the university, and I speculate about the effect, he would have become a lawyer. Hmm? So everything is in the past, it's about a past situation, but I am speculating. The structure here is if plus past perfect, and then would have, I'm going to underline it, and then the past participle. Okay? Remember, as I said before, follow the structures. Do not change tenses. You can move the clause, but not the tenses inside the clause. And now let's pass on the mixed conditional. In the mixed conditional, you're going to have a combination between the conditional 3 with the conditional 2. It's going to be used to talk about an imaginary past event, a past situation, and that is going to be expressed in the if clause, and the possible or probable result in the present, that is in the would clause. That is why I say it's a combination between conditional type 3, because in the first part you're going to have the past event. If Andrew hadn't broken his leg last week, and the result, the probable result, is in the present time. He would play football next Saturday. ¿Ok? Jugaría si no se hubiese quebrado. ¿Ok? Entonces, people, careful with the mixed conditional. The mixed conditional is used to talk about the past event, the imaginary past event, with a present imaginary result. Okay? So I follow the structure of conditional type 3 and then conditional type 2. Okay? Here I gave you an example. And finally, as regards grammar structures, let's see 3 words that can be used instead of if. Okay, unless is going to be used to replace if and the negative verb. Yes, unless it's a negative word. So the verb that follows unless has to be in the affirmative positive form. Okay, never in the negative form. So unless, as the present tense, is used to talk about the future in the same way as if. Unless can usually be replaced by if not. So let's analyze the example. We are going unless the weather gets much worse. We are going if the weather doesn't get much worse. So unless replaces if not. Okay? Unless is a negative word, so the verb must be in the positive affirmative form. Okay? In case is quite simple because in case is used to talk about something that which might happen. Okay, for example, I take my phone number in case you miss the bus. Okay, take my phone number if by any chance you miss the bus and you need me. Okay, en caso de. And if it is followed by a past tense, you're explaining a situation. He took his surfboard in case they went to the beach. Okay, he took his surfboard because he thought they might go to the beach. You're explaining a situation. Okay, so in case is quite simple. And then we have provided, provided that, providing that, as long as, so long as, and on condition or on condition that are used in the same way as if. People. That is between brackets because it can be omitted. Yeah. And if you use provided, not use if. Okay. So let's read the example here. As long as we stay together, we'll have a great time. On condition that we stay together, we'll have a great time. Providing that we stay together, we will have a great time. So all of them can be used, but one at a time. Careful with that. And then we have the practice. Here in the first part, you have to complete the sentences, taking into account the tenses to follow the structure of the conditional. In B, you have to choose the correct option. Read what is already completed, the tense that already appears. Choose the other one to identify the type. And then keyword transformation. Okay? Sorry for the length of the video, but I wanted to explain this carefully. Okay? Bye bye, Teen 6.